Today I want to talk about how the DCEU should have ended. How I think the DCEU should have ended. James Gunn and Peter Safran came in as co-CEOs of the inactive DC studios. Inactive means it doesn't do anything. It's a name, but nothing else. We've already discussed that. I've already proved that. And they've created fumble after fumble. Fumble number one. James Gunn went onto Twitter and claimed that he and Ben Affleck were looking for a project for Ben to direct. Only weeks later, Ben trotted over to the Hollywood Reporter and said he wouldn't direct a DC Universe movie if his life depended on it. James Gunn lied, but instead of Ben coming onto social media, because Ben isn't a big social media person, he only uses Twitter or X as a promotional tool, as he does all social media. So instead of saying, liar, liar, your pants is on fire, Ben went to the Hollywood Reporter, had an interview and said, I'd never work on DC Universe. Fumble number one. Fumble number two, when he announced that he was getting rid of Henry Cavill as Superman, he also said he was looking for something for Henry to do in the new universe. Of course, that was lie number two. And there's been several things like this. He tried to say he didn't fire Henry Cavill. Why isn't Henry Cavill Superman then? At least stand by your dumb decisions. Peter Safran, James Gunn, David Zaslav and the inactive DC studios will never forget the day they fired Henry Cavill, because it's hurting them, it's hurting them, and it's hurting them, and it will go on to hurt them. So there's been so many fumbles, so many mistakes. This is not me as a Snyder fan, because I'm a rounded DC fan. I'm not just here for Zack. Of course I wanted the Snyderverse to continue, to have its arc, like Zack wanted to do. But it's gone beyond that. It's not just Snyder fans who are angry about Cavill not being given the opportunity to come back when they brought him back, only for months later to lay him out off again. It was disgusting behaviour. James Gunn and Peter Safran support the decision to shelve Batgirl and lie, the next lie, that he is going to release the Air Cut. One of the grossest lies Gunn has ever stated. Let me do some things first, he said to David, and we'll get to your cut. He is lying. He has been proven to be a serial liar. Now, as you know, if you've seen my videos, if you're a consistent subscriber and consumer of my channel, I didn't want to believe he was a liar. I said he wasn't a liar. But now, there's too many things. There's too many times that he spilt untruths. Like when he said the Flash movie was one of the best CBMs he ever saw. This is ridiculous. How can you have a head of a studio who's lied blatantly and the consumer can see that they've lied blatantly? Forget about the historical tweets about kids, the historical tweets or the historical Facebook post we saw the other day, disrespecting Jack Nicholson, disrespecting Tim Burton, disrespecting Christopher Nolan, some of the finest creatives in the history of our industry. So this is ridiculous. His position is untenable, surely, but it's not, because Zaslav thinks that he has found an influencer, a popular influencer, to sell things. Well, he brought him in to sell these DCEU movies, and it hasn't worked, because these DCEU movies are so bad that they're unsellable. But Gunn didn't have the popularity to sell them anyway. Where are his fans when it comes to these DCEU movies? Where are real DC fans when it comes to these DCEU movies? I'm seeing it on Twitter now. The Flash movie had good, more good than bad VFX. You're rewriting history. It was a flop. Get over it. We're just getting these idiots, these lunatics coming on Twitter trying to rewrite DC history. The DCEU movies are flops, right? So now let me tell you what I would have done and how I would have ended the DC Extended Universe. The DC Extended Universe gave us some of the best films in DC history. In Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, a solid movie in the theatrical release of Suicide Squad. Wonder Woman is one of my favourite CBMs and one of my favourite origin superhero stories of all time. We have Zack Snyder's Justice League. I really like Aquaman as well. And I also thought that Black Adam was a solid movie. So how would I end the DCEU? First of all, I would make a major announcement that I was shelving all 5 of the remaining DCEU movies. And even though I love it, Black Adam would have been shelved as well. So I would have shelved Black Adam, Batgirl, which they already did. I would have shelved Blue Beetle, the Flash movie, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. As we've already seen, they've lost more money than made on these movies. They've paid for marketing. Not very much, because they can't afford much marketing because there is so much financial strife. So those movies would all be shelved. And you, the fans, would be coming at me as head of DC Studios. Look, Minos, he's a bad bloke. Why is he doing this? How can he shelve somebody else's work? How can he shelve a black man's work like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Or how can he shelve Batgirl? Or how can he shelve The Flash? You know, he's gender neutral, isn't he? I don't know what he is, by the way. I think he's gender neutral. So I'd be getting all these attacks, right? You are a fascist. You are a racist, Mick. You're a terrible person. I don't care. My wings are like a shield of steel. I can take it. So all those shitty movies that wouldn't make any money anyway would be shelved. I would give you a second shocking major announcement. Breaking news. Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Studios head, Mick, is announcing that he's bringing in Zack Snyder to pull the curtain down on the DC Extended Universe. The universe that Zack built so well. We want him to finish it the way he planned. And Zack Snyder will write and direct a Justice League 2. We wish we could give him a third one like he wanted, but that won't be possible. Justice League 2 will be the final movie to bring the curtain down on the DCEU. So Zack would get the freedom to finish his arc in one Justice League sequence instead of 3, which is a shame, but that's all I can do for him as head of DC. I would expect Zack to do his own thing, finish off his arc, but also what he promised, to get Barry Allen, aka Ezra Miller, to enact a Flashpoint and give the new creative, which will be James Gunn, the opportunity to start with a clean slate and give us what he should be giving us now, a clean reboot. If you know why this guy isn't giving us a clean reboot, I don't know. Anyway, so that's what would happen. Now, while Zack Snyder is writing and directing his Justice League 2, this gives Safran and Gunn and Zaslav the opportunity to sit down slowly and discuss what they're going to do. Whether it takes 2, 3, 5 years, that's okay. Zack is going to give us an epic finale to the DCEU. And what happens is, this solves so many problems which they have right now. First of all, you don't need to bring Cavill back. Then fire him. Because in this Justice League 2 movie, this brings the curtain down on Cavill, Affleck, Gadot, Fisher, Miller, and Momoa. In the right way. In the right way. Bringing it down with a creative who understands these actors, understands what he wanted to do. This would make so many people happy. But this would be the end of their run. They would not be playing these characters after this movie. And I'm quite sure you would agree with me, you'd be okay with that. Because they get a finite ending, right? So there's no argument, oh, why isn't Henry Cavill going to be Superman anymore? Because his arc will end in this Justice League 2, written and directed by Zack Snyder. It will be done the right way. Then we bring in David Corenswet, right? And then brand new cast, a new Batman, new this and new that, right? Gunn can do whatever he wants. Because Gunn is a solid creative at the end of the day. And I'm not going to say that he's not. He could do something interesting. He may have something really good to say about DC. We'll have to wait and see about that. This is the way it should have happened. Snyder would have got the opportunity to finish his arc. Yes, I know Justice League and Aquaman contradict the Snyderverse, And, you know, Wonder Woman 84, Birds of Prey's kind of all right. It kind of really kind of continues from the original Suicide Squad movie and even the sequel. It's not a good movie. It is in places, by the way. Ewan McGregor's the best thing about it. But at least, you know, we've shelved the other shitty movies that don't contradict the Snyderverse even more. So by shelving those 5 shitty movies and allowing Zack to bring the curtain down on the DCEU, as I say, there's going to be no arguments about Cavill being fired or Affleck being fired or Gadot going. They're all going to go. This is their final curtain call. They're going to bow, the curtain's going to come down, and that's it. No one should be angry about that, and they wouldn't be. Snyder fans would thank James Gunn for allowing this to happen. It would be an olive branch, because let's be absolutely clear. Whether you're a real DC fan or a Snyder fan or a comic book fan, whatever the fuck you are, as I said yesterday, you are a DC fan. You are a butt in the movie theatre seat, and you have fucking value. And to alienate just one consumer is why these movies are flops. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm angry because my beloved DC is being trashed again and again by people who should know better. Because it's all about ego with James Gunn and people like that. And Toby Emmerich, who's really still running things of sorts. Because let's be clear, Zaslav knows nothing about scripted entertainment. And Emmerich's there with his hand on the chicken switch. Because we know they gave him a production company to run through the door of Warner Brothers Discovery. That was said by all the broadsheets. Nothing's changed. And I told you this months ago. Nothing has changed. But by ending the DCEU with Snyder, it's an olive branch, right? He's not going to be there permanently. He's just going to finish what he started. You shelved these 5 movies that didn't make any money because Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom also isn't going to make any money. It's perfect. Everyone's happy. But this is what I'm saying. By alienating Snyder fans, you lose those fans. Now, people can say they're just a minority. Clearly, they're fucking not. Because it's not just devout Snyder fans who love the Snyderverse. There was other people out there. There was a section of the general audience who did like the Snyderverse. Yes, there was. Maybe not a huge amount, but you look at the box office. You look $650 for Man of Steel, $850 for BVS. The Snyder Cut sold out with physical media straight away. The IMAX edition of BVS sold out straight away. Couldn't get it for effing months via Amazon. These are facts. I'm not making it up. And I exclusively knew the numbers and the viewers for the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. And I found these out one way or the other. I'm not going to say how. And they did lie about how many views, how many people finished it. It was all lies. It did very well. Thank you very much on HBO Max. Let's be clear about that. The Snyderverse may not have made record-breaking profits. Maybe the profits were minimal because Snyder movies do cost a lot of money because the man puts a lot of art into his movies and that's expensive. I'll concede that. But in the good old days of WB, like in the 80s and the 90s and even the early noughties, they gave artists money. And if they didn't make any money, they didn't make any money. They'd make money on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves later on that year or something else. Or Waterworld, that Waterworld was an obvious flop. But you know what I mean. They still had blockbusters 20, 30 years ago, right? And so they allowed artists to make money that didn't considerably make, let me say it again. They allowed artists to come in and make movies that didn't make a considerable box office, didn't make considerable bank, but it was about creating something for the audience to sustain the studio. And the blockbusters would also sustain the studio financially. And the artists would sustain the studio artistically. There was a balance. It's the kind of balance we don't get anymore. The original Dune movie, not by Villeneuve, but the original one was a flop. But the director got to make his movie. Do you understand? That's how old Hollywood used to be. I mean, Hollywood's always been problematic. But they actually did used to try and entertain people. They made money and they also entertained people. They had movies for all tours that didn't make a lot of money, and then they had the big blockbusters. There's been blockbusters since Jaws. I mean, even beyond Jaws. So they've always been there, but there was a balance. So Snyder's movies didn't make a great profit, but they certainly had at least respectable box office. We know that's not what WB wanted, but what did you think you were going to get when you brought in Christopher Nolan in and he brought in Snyder? Should have thought of that before you allowed him to roll camera, and you didn't. So once you allow him to start, you've got to allow him to finish what he started. Then you can do your MCU shit, which isn't going to work, by the way. And hopefully the DC Universe is something more than a copy and pasting of the MCU. Gunn claims it's nothing like the MCU. Well, he's lied to us before, he could be lying again. Only one way to find out, to watch the stuff he's making, if he ever gets to make it. So it's common sense, everyone. I don't even think anyone can really argue with me about what I'm suggesting and how I would have ended the DCEU. It's a perfect storm. The guy who started the DC Extended Universe closes its curtain. We say goodbye to these iconic actors in these iconic roles. Everybody's happy. James Gunn comes in. He's decided how to do his DC Universe. It's a clean slate. He doesn't have a choice. It's a clean slate. I don't believe, knowing James Gunn, that he doesn't want a fresh reboot. It's other people behind the scenes. It's the same people who wanted to recycle Zack's stuff via Justice League. It's the same people who wanted to recycle Zack's universe via the Flash movie. And I mean, now we've seen the Flash movie and the way they've changed it, it's not actually obvious. If you're a member of the general audience, you don't see that movie at the end and go, oh yeah, they've rebooted the whole universe, it's different now. No. It's not self-explanatory. And Gunn hasn't come out publicly to explain anything. So people are even more confused than they ever were. These are facts. As I say, it's not someone trying to stir the shit. It's the truth. And the box office, or the lack of a box office, proves that. So what they should have done was basically, right, as a studio, Zaslav should have known these movies weren't going to make any money. So if they're not going to make any money, why not just tax write off all of them? Not just Batgirl, right? So you get a semblance of your money back. People say to me, they had to be released because of the money. But they've released them, and they haven't made any money. We knew they wasn't going to make any money. We all knew it. And if we damn well knew it, why didn't they? Zaslav's exact words. We're going to release these movies, they're great, and we can make them better. How is putting George Clooney instead of Batfleck at the end of the film making it better, and cutting out Keaton at the end as well? How is that fucking making it better? You're deluded. You're deluded. And the fans have better ideas how to run this franchise than you do. And I don't care if they've got no training and they don't know where to point the camera and they don't know how to draw the beautiful drawings that Zack Snyder and James Gunn do before they start shooting. Don't care. Don't care, don't care, don't care. It's not just the technical ability. I think we've got lost these days thinking just because these guys have got technical ability to make what's on the screen beautiful, that we give them a pass for creative bankruptcy, right? Bringing Snyder back, shelving these movies and allowing him to finish what he started is the perfect storm. The perfect idea. We know he's only staying for one film. His detractors know he's only staying for one film. I don't think there would be many people who would be against this. And as I say, it's better than releasing these 5 movies that didn't make any money. And you know my love and my affection for Black Adam. And I don't think many people out there have got the same affection and love for Black Adam that I have, but I'd be willing to be without it, to have never have experienced it. Because unfortunately, that didn't do very well either. None of them did. Because nobody asked for a Black Adam film. Nobody was going to rush. It wasn't the quality of the film that was the problem with the box office. It was that nobody was inspired about a Black Adam movie. I mean, probably the biggest Black Adam fan is The Rock himself, right? And I think if Black Adam was a villain, or like a kind of Nick Fury, recurring villain kind of thing, where he just pops up now and again. That would have been the better plan for Black Adam. If Black Adam was actually a social, what are they called? The Justice Society of America. How can I forget what they're called? Yeah. If you did a Justice Society of America movie, right, I think that would have made more money than calling a film Black Adam. And the Justice Society members in the Black Adam movie were great. But I would shelve all 5 movies and give them a tax write-off. The right decision to make. It's the decision that Zaslav should have made. He had the logical idea of shelving Batgirl. He just didn't go about it in the right way. And his reasons really were illogical. He said he wouldn't release a bad movie, right? So this is interesting. But he did release Shazam! Fury of the Gods, a below solid movie. He released the Flash movie, which is inconsistently good and bad, but not good enough. Some of the VFX is good, some of it looks like an arcade, and some of it looks okay. The music was a bit underwhelming. The only good thing, I think, even though a lot of us have got issues with Ezra, was Ezra's performance. Because Ezra is a solid actor. Some people even say Ezra can't act. I'm sorry, I'm not going to agree with that. I won't say his whole performance in The Flash was great. What I say is his ability to play 2 different entities in the movie really impressed me. I wouldn't say their entire performance was great, but then that's the directing and the writing as well. You can't just put that on Ezra. That's what I say about the Flash movie. But if you're talking about Batgirl being bad and you won't allow a bad movie to be released, how can you allow Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the Flash movie, and Blue Beetle to be released? And God knows what shape Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom's in since I saw the early test screening. And I kind of enjoyed the early test screening, but that was pre-James Gunn. That's why I was surprised afterwards when people were saying test screenings were bad. Well, the test screening I saw, I liked. Who knows what everyone else thinks? You're not really, allowed to know everyone's faults. But I liked what I saw. But clearly, they've done reshoots and rewrites after reshoots and rewrites. And they fucking ruined Jason Momoa's and James Wan's vision for the movie. But even worse than that, even before they started writing that movie, Jason had great ideas, right? With great environmental commentary for that film. And WB wouldn't allow him to do it because they were worried that people would be upset because some people, obviously, are in denial about the trouble our world's in, right? And everyone's entitled to their own opinions. It's like the Kryptonian Council who were in denial the planet was going to blow up. Tick, 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 it fucking blew up. Let that be a lesson to us all. But anyway, so Jason had a great idea for the movie. And James Wan's a fucking genius. They were working together, they get on, it was going to be great. In comes James Gunn with his big Doc Martens and ruins everything. He's ruining everything because they're not letting James Gunn do a clean reboot, and that's the problem. So Gunn didn't touch Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which had many problems. Gunn did touch quite a lot the Flash movie, and we'll never know where he touched it entirely. Now, apparently Blue Beetle wasn't touched either. Blue Beetle is well shot, the physical suit is beautiful, but unfortunately, the film is fucking boring. It's as simple as that. It's a family sitcom, and that's not what a CBN should be in the modern day. Because the levels we're used to are so much better than that. The levels in early DCEU are so much better than that. Man of Steel, BVS, even the theatrical Suicide Squad, the first one, Wonder Woman, the Snyder Cut, Aquaman, even the first Shazam is better than Blue Beetle. And as I've said all along, I've been in love with Blue Beetle. I mean, I never read him in the comics, I'm going to be honest, but I loved him in Batman the Brave and the Bold, the animated series. The little we saw him there. I loved him in Smallville as well, and I really because I didn't really know him, and I liked the idea of him and Booster Gold together. And that was dumb, right? Think about this, right? This is they're so dumb. They're so obsessed with their identity politics. They could have made a film called Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. It would have fucking sold. But instead, they did a movie lecturing us about identity politics. In the marketing, they called Batman a fascist. But imagine, let me know in the comments down below. Smash the like button if you would have watched the shit out of a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold movie. I know you would. Support the channel. Smash like if you agree with my idea. Also smash the like button if you actually like the idea of Zack Snyder coming in to drawing the curtain in the DCEU. Of course, it can't happen now. Well, actually, it could. It still could. I mean, they're releasing the final DCEU movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, so you could still, because that doesn't officially finish off the DCEU, but Gunn's interference may have a finite ending for the DCEU, but who knows? But anyway, they should have shelved these movies, brought in Snyder to finish it. It would have been difficult because of Rebel Moon and all of that. Maybe we would have had to wait a bit. That's fine. Because actually that's better. They could have let Zack finish Rebel Moon, right? Finish what he's doing there. That means you have a clean break of DC. Because I think people are tired of CBMs a little bit as well. So you still have the Batman 2 and the Joker, so they will be holding us in good stead because they're going to be good shit. I'm so sure those movies are going to be great. So you still have DC content. So you let Zack come in, write and direct his Justice League 2, his curtain call on the whole DC extended universe, right? Meanwhile, James and Peter and David Zaslav are coming together developing their plan for the new universe. It takes its time. It doesn't rush because, believe you me, they are rushing. Releasing Superman Legacy in 25 is a rush job. And now what's going to happen? They're going to have to rush it out. Even worse now because of this industrial action. When will it be over? I think not till December. So, it's a race against time. But anyway, basically James gets a chance to sit down and think about his next move. Zack doesn't come in until he's finished Rebel Moon, right? And those two movies have been released. Then he comes in, does his movie. Now that's a lot of years. I agree. But you come in and do it slowly, right? Maybe it adds to it if these actors look slightly older as well, like Henry, Amy, Gal, all of these actors. So you just take your time, you finish off the entire universe. And then in the movie, Flash enacts a Flashpoint. You've shoved the Flash movie, so that doesn't contradict anything. And then James Gunn has a fresh slate to do whatever he wants. The fans love James Gunn, even the Snyder ones, because he's allowed Snyder to finish what he started. Because let me explain something to you in the next few minutes, right? Because this is very, very important. I hear a lot of stuff from this industry like toxic fandom. I hated my customers when I used to serve on the deli counter at the Co-op supermarket many years ago. But here's the thing, I never used to tell them I hated them. I used to bitch at them inside my head. This is what you do with customers. You need customers! James Gunn, you need every fucking DC fan and member of the general audience to come in and watch your movies. And that could have happened this year with these flops. You could have handed an olive branch, allow Zack to finish what he started and give you a clean slate, a clean stage to start from scratch. You would have pleased every member of DC fandom. There wouldn't be the toxicity. You've created this toxicity. Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, Walter Hamada, all of you, and James Gunn now, and even Safran to a point, to a smaller extent, have created this toxicity because DC belongs to us. We pay for it. Some people pay for the comics. I've got so many Blu-rays, so many DVDs, so many t-shirts, so many Superman and DC toys. We own you. Don't you understand? Because we sustain you, because we're the fucking consumer. It doesn't matter how toxic we are. It's not our job to behave, it's your job to behave. You are the standard bearers of Detective Comics now. Something that's been around, something proud that's been around since 1938. Because comics in the 30s were the entertainment industry. That's all people fucking had. And the early stages of the radio, of course. what you're running, James Gunn, what your name's on, is so important. You said it yourself. You came in to a fractious environment, and you know damn well why you came into that fractious environment. It wasn't Zack Snyder's fault. It wasn't the fans' fault. It was the people who brought you in the first place to make the Suicide Squad. Hamada and Emmerich. They caused this. So if Emmerich truly isn't your boss anymore, you should have been able to say, do you know what? This is a bit messy. Let Snyder finish this off. Let's shelve these 5 movies. They're just not fit for purpose. James Gunn knew that these movies wasn't fit for purpose, and he still released them. Zaslav still released them, knowing they were shit. Zaslav coming out and saying the Flash movie is the best comic book movie that's ever been made. That's what he said! That's what he said. You're insulting your consumer. That's why people are leaving the cinemas empty. We all read that article together the other day. What happened to DC fans? They were driven away. But if James Gunn came in softly, and said, you know what? If he said to them, as someone who's worked in the industry for a while, do you know what, guys? This is fractious. This is a problem. We can't just wade in here. We've got to start from scratch. We need Snyder to bring the curtain down on the DCEU. Allow him to enact a flashpoint when he finishes his arc. Then we can come in. His fans will be happy with us. We keep his fans. Because as I say, every single fan that's going to buy a ticket from you, every single person you please, is a potential ticket buyer. But New Hollywood are so stupid, so busy being stubborn and fighting their extremist politics and spreading their propaganda that they don't understand that. Something that's so fucking obvious. If I own a shop and I say, well, I don't want you coming in my shop, you're toxic. I'm not going to sell you the stuff that you want because you're toxic. How long would that shop be standing for? And surprise, surprise, New Hollywood, it took New Hollywood 7 fucking years to burn down in flames. So that is how I would have ended the DCEU, everyone. Let me know how you would have liked to see the ending of the DCEU.